we were in a program that ascended us up a ladder by starting with a free challenge that gave tons of amazing content and value and community. We bought their $1,000 program, and day number 2. Welcome to the Impactors Podcast. I'm Corey Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool.
And we are the owners and founders of Hindsight HacKing Media, agency, podcasts, funnels, graphics, and more. Head on over to gethhm.com to learn more.
Guys, we created this podcast to help you go create an impact today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. We're taking all the fluff, all the BS out so you can go create an impact.
And today's topic is
funnels, OTOs, and more.
That's right, Ron. Today, as we continue our conversation about sales, we wanted to bring up and have a conversation about funnels, right? Like we have sales, and we discovered, everybody has sales, but we discovered a better way of organizing a website through funnels. And so, I know people may understand a traditional website, but Ron, what is a sales funnel?
Sales funnel, I think the best way to explain it is you're leading someone down the sales process of the next thing that they're going to need that they might not know they need. Or once they do it, they're like, oh my gosh, but what about this? So perfect example, peanut butter jelly, right? So you go to the store, you get some peanut butter. A sales funnel would work like this. You would walk into the sales funnel, peanut butter, you'd buy the peanut butter, you would instantly be asked about jelly because peanut butter and jelly go together.
Yep.
You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally need jelly. I didn't even think about jelly, but I do need jelly. So then you go and get the jelly, and then the next OTO would be bread, because you can't have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without bread. And it walks you through the sales process.
That's right. So a traditional website may have 1,000 different things, like the grocery store, if we're going to stick with your PBJ analogy, right? A grocery store, a Walmart, a Kroger, a King Soopers, a Safeway, whatever it is, a grocery store. And you can go to that place and search and find all the thousands of things they have.
Right.
But there's no person holding your hand to say, where would you like to go next? Or let me take you over what makes sense. And so, but if you go to a sales funnel, you make it to that web page, and it is all about that one thing. Right. And in this case, all about the peanut butter. And then the next logical thing after would be the jelly or whatever. And so that's the same thing, right? Like sales funnel, but sales funnels go beyond just a website, right? Like a sales funnel process could be, exactly how we do that for people as well. Like what's the one step in front of them? And then it's like, well, you have this, you may be interested in the jelly, you may be interested in the bread, right? Like it doesn't have to be just a website, but that's the funnel in a nutshell. And then the OTOs, I wanted to bring that up today because yes, in this analogy with the PBJ and a funnel, we're advocating for OTOs, but you and I, we don't have OTOs on a lot of things because of a few reasons. And I'd love for you to explain that today.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in doing things upfront, and so do you. So we have been involved where you buy a program and it's everything you're going to need until you're 2 weeks into a 4-week program. And 2 weeks into the program, they're like, oh, you can't do this. It's another $1,000. And you're like, oh my gosh, but you're already committed. So you're going to drop another $1,000, right? And then third week in, 4th week, you're supposed to launch. The 3rd week, they're like, well, what about this? Well, now you're 3 weeks in, you've already been committed to it. You've already been doing things, and it's now another $1,000. We don't like those kind of OTOs. If the OTO is upfront and you're being upfront and it's a value added thing, perfect. If it's something they need to launch effectively and they bought a system or bought your course for you to give them everything they need, shame on you.
Agreed. Shame on them, whoever does that. And so a perfect example, I think, of an OTO or a program, and I'm going to just use our Profits with Podcast program. it's $1,000 to get your podcast launched. All the graphics are done, all the editing is done, all that stuff. It's done for you. Everything's on that front page, $1,000. If somebody wants to launch a podcast through us, it costs $1,000. That's it. There's currently not an OTO on there, but we've talked about adding something, but whatever we're going to add doesn't take away from the fact that it would be a nice to have. That OTO is a nice thing to have, but it's not a must. It's not, you don't need it to launch your podcast, but we'll have something that makes sense, like finding some guests for you or something like that. Right. But someone doesn't need it to get their show launched. And I think that's where you and I get so doggone upset about. And, another example of the whole OTO and the ethical aspect of it is we were in a program that ascended us up a ladder by starting with a free challenge that gave tons of amazing content and value and community. We bought their $1,000 program, and day number 2,
25 grand offer. Go.
Like, who does this? We were pitched. Oh my gosh, people, if you're listening to this, like, come on. We paid $1,000 for a certain result.
Which we've yet to get.
Right. But we were on day 2. Like, we didn't even know, which way was up, which way was down at that point within this program. And they pitched us something else that was $25K. And some people actually took that. Like, it turned me off so much that we never really wanted to do anything within that community again.
Nope. And there's bonuses that we could have used that we have yet to see.
Yeah. And mainly because we've been like just so uninterested based on the way they pitched. Free was amazing, $1,000, but let us get the value for the 1,000 before you pitch me 25K. Come on. So funnels.
What the next one is? You get
right.
25, $100,000 mastermind.
That's right. That probably was actually. So moral of the story, make sure you've got a good funnel. Make sure you've got your OTO that is a value add that makes sense with the journey, but it's not a must, right? Like something, if you promise someone a result on page 1 and with the offer 1, like your OTO should not be the one that fulfills on that first promise. Like fulfill your promise and then add value somewhere after that.
Absolutely. No fluff, no BS, just impact. Go make some.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more, head on over to impactorsmastermind.com. We have a special group waiting just for you.
Guys, why are you still listening to this? Get off your phone, go create an impact today.